your first role, of course, was Howard the Duck. It was followed by Leonard Part 6, and then an episode of Nash Bridges, which came 11 years later.
Right.
And I caught a few videos of you performing stunts. I saw one in particular where you were hammering a nail into your nose.
Yes.
So if you could fill in the blanks for us from there, what led into acting, and then what led into hammering objects into your face?
Well, the hammering the objects came first. I trained as years ago, I went to Ringling Brothers Clown College, and I was admitted there. And when I was there, one of my instructors was this Englishman who taught me how to eat fire and hammer a nail in my head. Because he thought those would be good skills if the clowning didn't work out, which in fact, I mean, I did travel for a year on a circus, and then I came back to San Francisco, and I started performing. And one of the things I would do, the nail thing, it's called the human blockhead. And it's something you will see often at carnivals or sideshows. And I would eat fire as well. I was actually on the Gong Show eating fire. I was on the last week of the Gong Show. So I did that, and I enjoyed the kind of freakish nature of these sort of skills. And I would do them on the side. And then I was involved in the San Francisco comedy scene. And I had I was with a comedy ensemble, a couple of them. All of my friends moved to LA. I stayed here. But I started from being in the comedy ensemble, I would do movies and commercials. And that's where we got Howard the Duck. And then later on, I started performing as this character, Sebastian Boswell III, who, if you look him up online, he's this kind of odd, imperious character who, the character was, I wanted him to be based on, because it started in a show where I was cast to be performing about the same time Houdini was popular. And the nugget of the character was, he's actually doing things. He's hammering nails in his nose, and he is not as famous as Houdini, who is fooling people by doing tricks. So there's this kind of bitter core to Sebastian. So he's always trying to prove himself.
And I just want to say that watching the videos of what I've seen of your performance of doing your do you prefer magic or illusion? Like what is the preferred term?
It's a style of it's a form of magic called mentalism, where it gives the impression of reading minds, of being a mind reader, being able to do predictions, being able to do those other things. The thing about Sebastian's character is he claims he can actually read minds. And, the thing is that, most mentalists, when you go out today, when you see them, they'll say, I don't really read minds, but it's kind of like heavy psychology. I rely on body language and your voice inflections and that sort of thing.
21 with Woody Harrelson. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So Sebastian claims he can actually read minds. The character does. But when you see him, it's pretty apparent he's really he's over the top. And, and as he says, I claim to read minds. I claim to be able to do all of these things. All of these things are within my power. They are everything you could do if you had just spent your lifetime in the pursuit of human perfection, as Sebastian has. You could do it. So if that was your whole focus, you could be as amazing as Sebastian is. And as he says at the end of the show, to make these claims, I have to be telling the truth, lying, or insane. And I'm not lying.
Yes. So yeah, I love the name too. Like, where did the name Sebastian come from?
I wanted something pretentious.
That the Sebastian is,
and it's not to say people who are named Sebastian are pretentious, but Sebastian just sounded like this elevated name. Boswell I got from an English name, Boswell, who was a writer. And I thought Sebastian Boswell, I thought that's pretty good, but he has to be the third. He has to be like, it has to be more,
Yeah.
I thought like Sir Sebastian, no, it's Sebastian Boswell the third, which gives me an opportunity when everybody talks about, well, what about your father? And he doesn't talk about his father. There was obviously a very contentious relationship with his father, which he does not discuss.
The only thing he was missing was Esquire.
Or I was going to say,
Esquire would have been good too. Yeah.
Maybe one day he can be knighted and become Lord Sebastian Boswell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, I don't know how much we're talking. One of the things I love about him is in the show, he talks about personally knowing Houdini, personally knowing the Dadaists of the 20s, and then about having a brief stint with his own television show, and then being completely familiar with technology of the present day. So he's either clearly mad or he is timeless.
Yeah, he also taught Jesus the trick of walking on water.
That was, which was much harder, because he had the holes in his feet, and so
yeah.
Whoa.
I love it. No, and you do a fantastic job at like crowd control and going back and forth with the crowd. I love the it was almost like a catchphrase that I picked up on just watching one performance with, like, you'd point people out and be like, oh, I love that expression. Like, you're doing what you're doing up on the stage to get whatever expression you're seeing down there. And the fact that you actually pointed out, say, and I'm sure it's somebody with a very uncomfortable face that you're pointing out.
Sometimes they're delighted, it sort of depends.
I guess that would be as exciting. Like, so, the fact that you are excited about the fact that I'm putting a nail in my face. We'll talk afterwards. Yeah.
Yes.
The guy on Netflix, I've watched a lot of his specials. He's I think he's British. He's got a shaved head. I cannot remember his name. Darren Brown.
Darren Brown. Yes.
What introduced me to him was a show called, he did a special called The Push, where he tried to convince somebody to kill somebody, essentially. And how do you feel about his work?
Well, I think he's very good at what he does. I am skeptical of some of his claims, especially when it comes to essentially hypnotism or controlling other people. It's been a while since I've seen him. Some of the things he does is really, truly mind-blowing. Then he makes some very big claims that I think are meant to be for good television rather than actual fact, but he does well.
Yeah.
The mentalist I am most impressed by is a man, Derek Delgado, who did he has a special on Hulu. The name of which I can always forget the name. If you look at it, I'll look it up here. But his show, I saw his show live. I don't know why I always forget the name of his show because it's so good.
Let's see. Is that in and of itself?
In and of itself, yeah. Derek Delgado. In and of itself. Yeah, I don't know why I keep it. And seeing it on Hulu is a great experience, and he combines a lot of it is storytelling, and then and it's a very emotional piece, but he does stuff in that just blows my mind. And if you haven't seen it, the final effect is stunning. Is absolutely stunning, and what he does with the audience at the end is just is amazing.
I'll definitely check it out.
You should.
My wife and I are huge fans of anything that is magic, mentalism, all that.
Then In and of itself, check it out. It's a great performance. It was co-produced by Stephen Colbert. The original production was directed by Frank Oz.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yoda himself.
exactly. So it really is. I mean, it's a very much a theatrical performance, using the getting into the performance of using mentalism and mind reading and other skills like that. So it's terrific.